Hello, my friends, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. I felt called to do a little bit of a different reading today. So this is going to be a reading about if I was to give your person advice and to give your person a reading about this connection. What advice would I give them? What would I tell them about this connection? What would I tell them about you? I think this is only the third time in all of the readings I've done that I've done a reading like this, so hopefully it's not too confusing for you. I know that from my experience doing readings like this, I do tend to say, I would tell your person this, so that's probably how this reading is going to go. But I chose a few different decks, and I just pre-shuffled out some cards. So let's get into it. So again, this is a reading about what I would tell your person about this connection or what advice I would give them. So the first card we have is Orphaned in reverse. So this card always reminds me of the Five of Pentacles in reverse. And as I'm starting this reading, as I just flipped over that card, I'm starting to feel a bit of Phoenix energy. So I do think that I would tell your person just the energy that I'm feeling right now, that they can free themselves from this fear of abandonment and fear of rejection and fear of intimacy they have. I definitely think whoever you're connected to struggles with that, especially with this card in reverse. I'm going to get these three cards and then I'll talk about them. And then we have TikTok in reverse. So this one is about divine timing. And when it's in reverse, it does symbolize someone who's worrying about time. So I do feel like your person is worrying how much time they're taking or how much time it's been since they've spoken to you or since they've seen you. I'm seeing that card. I'm afraid it's too late to take action. And I would tell your person that it's never too late. Do you know what I just heard as I was about to say it's never too late to take action? I just heard it's never too late to do the right thing. So that is definitely something that I would be telling your person, that it's never too late to do the right thing. It's never too late to heal. It's never too late to free yourself from the wounds, the childhood wounds, and fear of attachment and fear of abandonment that keeps you stuck and scared. And then we have Message in a Bottle, which I'm not surprised that came out. I actually laughed when that came out because the last time I did a reading like this, that was the first card to come out, was Message in a Bottle. So based on these cards, what I would tell your person, and I am going to read from the book for the Orphaned in reverse, but I would tell your person, I feel like your person does wonder why they keep seeing signs and synchronicities about you. And I would tell them there is a reason. It's that the universe is trying to send you messages about this person. There's a reason they keep seeing reminders of you. They keep seeing your name. They keep seeing people that look like you. And it's because the universe is trying to direct them inward to heal so that they can come back towards you. And I keep hearing, and I would tell your person this, it's never too late to do the right thing. It's never too late to say you're sorry. And I would also tell them that if they feel called to connect with you or they feel called to communicate with you, and they have this fear of rejection, that it's almost worse to not contact you and have something slip through your fingers. That's what I would tell them, because there is this energy that they should reach out to you, but they're worried about rejection. They're worried that they've taken too long. And again, I would tell them it's never too late to say you're sorry. And I would tell them that I feel like if they did reach out to you and were honest with you, especially about some of their insecurities, that you would be open to hearing from them, that you would be open and receptive to hearing what this person has to say. And if you're watching this and you're thinking, nope, that's wrong, I don't want to hear from them, then this isn't your reading, and I wouldn't even watch it if that's the mind frame you're in, because I don't think it will be your reading. Specifically because of the animal card I drew for you, but I'll get to that. I feel like whoever I'm channeling would be more than happy to hear from this person, or you would be more than happy to hear from them. And I don't feel like whoever's person I'm channeling, I don't feel like you would, I don't know if you'd meet them with open arms, but I don't think that you're holding on to resentment. I feel like you would just be happy to hear from them. Anyway, let's keep going. So I really want to, the message in the bottle is pretty clear. Like I said, I would tell your person that if they feel called to reach out to you, they should. If they feel like something is unfinished here, something's unresolved, and they have something that they need to say to you, I would tell them to go ahead and say that to you. And to not worry about how much time they're taking or how long it's been. And also not to think that they're running out of time. Because I'll just tell you why I'm on that. So I won't read the whole thing, but the reversal message of the clock in reverse. Have you been feeling as if the clock is ticking and gotten nervous that your dreams are taking too long to manifest? There is nothing to fear. You will never run out of time. So, and there's also something about healing in your person's energy. Like they may have the mindset that they are too stuck in their ways, or that they're too old to heal, or that, I'm hearing, I've always been this way, I'll always be this way. And I would tell them that's not true. It's never too late to change. It's never too late to do the healing you need to do. It's never too late to free yourself, heal yourself and free yourself, and phoenix, right? Phoenix out of that energy. So the orphan card coming out in reverse is very telling for your person, and I'll explain why. Oh, there's a little bit of muffin in my book. I was just eating a muffin. So the shadow card of the shadow side of this card, the 5, or the orphaned in reverse, I always want to call it the 5 of Pentacles. The shadow side of this card speaks to the essence of abandonment. Perhaps you feel the need to remain apart because intimacy is too threatening. It also warns against creating inappropriate family structures in order to conceal old wounds. It's time to address the unhealthy alliances you formed and to make a decision to heal the past. You will not be abandoned by the world if you claim yourself as whole. Not all relationships are dysfunctional, and not all of them will disappoint you. Don't abandon yourself. You can connect to others in a healthy way once you recognize your patterns and consciously choose to interrupt them. Life wants to love you, let it. And I would even tell your person, you, the viewer who's watching this right now, that you want to love them. And that just because they've experienced dysfunctional relationships in the past and they grew up in a dysfunctional household doesn't mean that they're fated for dysfunctional relationships, and that it's never too late to claim themselves as a whole and to not abandon themselves, and to make a decision to start healing the things that they need to heal. I would also tell them to, think about why they possibly pushed this connection away, that, I feel like it did stem from a fear of abandonment or a fear of intimacy. And I would tell them to explore that. Like, why do you feel that way? What happened to you in your past? What makes you afraid of truly being intimate with someone? What makes you afraid of being loved? And I would remind them that if they grew up in a chaotic household, it's actually quite normal for people who grew up in a chaotic household who are unhealed to be afraid of happiness and stability, or it feels unfamiliar. So sometimes they push that away. With this, I always say it reminds me of the Five of Pentacles. With the Five of Pentacles in reverse, I would tell them it's never too late to make positive changes. Let me just look at the Five of Pentacles in reverse before I keep going, because I keep hearing Five of Pentacles. So it's never too late to make positive changes. I would tell them, you know, if they have experienced loss in their past, to look at that loss. And just because they experienced loss in the past doesn't mean that they'll always lose things they love. There's also something about feeling welcomed here. So I would tell them that that's what I was saying. Like, I feel like you would welcome them with open arms. I was hearing it's never too late to say I'm sorry. And so I do feel like maybe this is someone who does need to make amends for something. But I would tell them, you know, if you take accountability and you open yourself up to be vulnerable with the viewer here, that I feel like the viewer would hear you out. I'm kind of talking to your person right now. I hope I'm not confusing you. Anyway, that's what we have from those cards. So we'll continue on now. Let me make sure they're straight. I just looked at the timer at 11:22. So let me just look at that. 11 and 22. So 11, faith, humanitarian, accepting, tolerant, intuitive. And it makes me think of how I keep saying that I do feel like you would, I feel like you're highly intuitive, and I do feel like you would accept this person if they came in honest, taking accountability. The weaknesses, codependent, manipulative, oversensitive. So I do feel like maybe your person, you know, they could have some wounds around codependency, and when they feel codependent to something, they could pull away or they could run. 22 is stable, disciplined, determined, resourceful, building foundations. And the weaknesses, destructive, overly intense, dramatic. So I would tell your person that even though they may have destroyed or become quite, like they could have self-sabotaged this connection and kind of destroyed it, I would tell them that if they're determined enough, that they would be able to rebuild a foundation with you. But that rebuilding a foundation with someone else starts with rebuilding our own foundation. I would tell your person that, you know, if they did want to rebuild a foundation with you, it's very important to work on their own foundation first, because we can only meet someone where we are. So if this person's foundation isn't strong, then it's going to make it hard for them to build a strong foundation with someone else. So let's keep going. We have Six of Cups here. So I would tell your person that this is a soul connection. There's a reason you feel this soul connection with my viewer, and that there's a reason why you came into each other's lives. I would tell them that I do think it's possible that you, the viewer, triggered some of this. I'm stuttering a little, interesting. Maybe your person has a stutter. But I would tell them that part of the contract of this connection was to trigger some of those unhealed wounds within them, some of those childhood wounds. And they probably triggered some of yours as well. And I would tell them to spend some time reflecting on their childhood and those childhood wounds, and making those connections of how those childhood wounds maybe contributed to the sabotaging of this connection. There's another aspect of this Simply Love card in the book that talks about remembering or being nostalgic about the good times with you. So I would tell them that instead of focusing on all the bad, instead of focusing on how they hurt you and how you'll never forgive them, and instead of focusing on ruminating about unresolved issues from the past or ruminating about the bad times, I would tell them to really focus on the good times. And I would tell them to remember all those sweet memories that you had together. And the Six of Cups is also about reconnecting to someone from your past. So it's another message that I would give them about, you know, to try and reconnect with you when they're ready, when they feel ready, but that there's a reason they still feel this connection. There's a reason they think about reaching out to you often, but then their fear and their overthinking stops them. And I would tell them to do, again, I would tell them to reconnect with their inner child. I would also tell them to breathe, because I just took a big deep breath, which brings me to my next card. Just breathe. So I would tell them, just breathe. Like, especially if your person does get quite worked up, or I'm just thinking of that number 22. It did talk about, one of those cards or one of those numbers talked about like being sensitive or being dramatic. I'm not saying your person is dramatic, but I would tell them that if they are feeling anxiety or unease within their body, to practice deep breathing, because that can help us self-regulate, I'm hearing. Now, this is the Four of Swords. So I would tell your person that instead of, you know, continuing on like this isn't affecting them, and instead of distracting themselves with work or other things, whatever they're distracting themselves with, I would tell them to take some time to really reflect on this connection and reflect on, again, the good times, but reflect on how maybe some of their unhealed wounds did contribute to the ending of this connection. The Four of Swords is about rest, so I would tell them to make sure they're taking time to take care of themselves and to sit in silence. And because when we sit in silence, this is reminding me of the Swan card in the animal deck that I love so much. I would tell them that this silence between you, or this break between you, there's actually quite healing and potent energy to be taken advantage of. And again, this card is about it's about being quiet. It's about resting. And when we're quiet and we stop when we quiet our mind and we quiet our overthinking and we stop, you know, distracting ourselves with other things, like I'm hearing video games. No hate to anybody who plays video games. I love video games, but it can be used as a distraction. And I would tell them that there's a lot of power in sitting in silence, because it allows you to work through, once you work through all that overthinking that you've been distracting yourself with something else to block out, you can tap into your inner knowing, you can tap into your inner voice. Also, I'm noticing that the two cards that I pulled from this deck, 6 and 4, 6 and 4 equal 10, which is Wheel of Fortune energy. So I would tell them that to not be so hard on themselves about this separation between the two of you, or the distance between the two of you, because I do feel like it was fated in a way so that they could make adjustments. I'm just seeing the Wheel of Fortune right now. And again, I would just tell them to take time to reflect, to gain clarity about this connection, rather than fearing rejection, rather than overthinking about it, rather than catastrophizing about it, rather than thinking about the worst case scenario and like pretending that they're not seeing these signs of synchronicities and they're not feeling this pull towards you, to actually embrace that. And again, tap into that inner voice, tap into their inner knowing about this connection. So that brings us to the animal cards. So I got one card for you and I got one card for them about what I would tell them about you and what I would tell them about them. I can't remember which one is first. So this is you. So we have the peacock. I'm having a really difficult time breathing right now, channeling your person's energy. And I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I feel very nervous. So I do feel like your person is struggling with anxiety right now, overthinking. They could also be having problems, like they could be having health problems, or they could be feeling under the weather. And one thing I would tell them is if they are, feeling under the weather, if they are experiencing flu-like symptoms, especially with the Four of Swords, that is an indication that they need to rest. And it's also an indication that they could be going through ascension symptoms, because a lot of people who don't know what ascension feels like, ascension can bring on like flu-like symptoms is what I'm hearing. So that's something that I would tell them. Now this is about you. So what would I tell them about you? The peacock is a really beautiful energy. And I would tell them not to be, I feel like with the peacock, this person could have you on a bit of a pedestal. And I would tell them to be careful about putting someone up on a pedestal. I apologize, someone's vacuuming in my house, but I'm just going to keep going. I would tell them to be careful not to put you so high up on a pedestal that they feel beneath you. Because one thing that I always say in my readings is when I was unhealed, not that I'm healed, I'm still working on it, but I used to think it would be great to be put up on a pedestal. But when someone puts you up on a pedestal, they never feel like they can meet you where you are. So I would tell this person, it's not about taking you off that pedestal, but it's about, I would tell them that they're not beneath you in any way, and to not think about it like, oh, the peacock's better than me, I don't have anything to offer the peacock. I would tell them that they have lots to offer the peacock. I would tell them that just because you're someone who has worked on yourself, and you're someone who's confident, and you're someone who, is giving that peacock energy, that it doesn't mean that the peacock is better than them. It doesn't make them any less of a person. And almost, I would tell them that there's something within you, the fact that they see you that way, I would tell them that it's a reflection of what they're seeing in you, the light that they're seeing in you, the greatness that they're seeing in you. I would tell them the reason they're seeing it and the reason it intimidates them is because that is within them. They are capable of embodying that energy, and that's why it's a little bit triggering to them. I'm having a really hard time breathing in your person's energy. I just need to take a couple deep breaths. So as I'm breathing, I have my hand over my heart, because that's how I ground myself. I put my hand on my heart so that I can connect with my own energy and remind myself that as an empath, I had a really hard time distinguishing between whose energy I was feeling. Was it my own or was it someone else's? And I learned, I think 2 years ago, I learned that when you're feeling energy that feels like this, if you put your hand on your heart, you can ground in your own energy, and you can realize it's not actually your energy that you're feeling. And as soon as I did that, I felt more grounded. So I would definitely tell your person to take some deep breaths or look into meditation, breathing exercises. I would tell them about the 4-7-8 method that I always talk about. So breathe in for 4, hold it for 7, release for 8. And again, it just calms your nervous system and it helps ground you. But I do feel like you're very intimidating to this person. And like I said, I would tell them that that's because they're seeing something within you that they have within themselves, something that they're capable of. And I feel like you're probably someone who's worked on your healing and worked on your patterns. With the peacock card, I would also remind them, because I do get this level of intimidation, and I would tell them that I feel like this person feels like you're very beautiful or handsome or whatever word you identify with. And I would tell your person that it's not just about surface level beauty. Like, I think that this person, I think that they're attracted to your soul as well. And I feel like that makes you extra beautiful or handsome to them. And I would tell them that your beauty isn't just surface level. So if your person has that mindset of like, oh, that person's too hot for me, they like, I don't even know why they would look my way, they could have anyone they wanted, I would tell them that your beauty really stems from the work you've done internally. And when we work on ourselves internally, it shines outwards. So I would tell them that it's, part of what they're seeing in your beauty is all the inner work you've done on yourself. And again, they have that capability to embody that themselves if they do what this card was talking about. All right, I'm feeling better. So I just want to read you the peacock because this is you in this reading. The month of April could be symbolic. You actually, oh, that's air. I'm in the wrong section. I would tell them to get out of their head about you. That's what I would tell them, like to stop overthinking these thoughts that they feel like they're not good enough for you or they could never give you what you need or deserve. I would tell them that they are very capable of giving you what you need and deserve. They just need to look within and heal themselves. So the peacock, inner beauty. So I would tell them that part of what they see in you is a lot of inner beauty. It's not just outward beauty, it's inner beauty. And it comes from really working on yourself is what I'm hearing. It says compassion. So I would tell your person that if you are honest with the peacock and you reach out to the peacock, I do feel like the peacock would show you compassion, welcome you with open arms. For some reason, I'm hearing the song by Reid with Arms Wide Open. Anyway, I haven't thought about that song in a little while, so I'm not quite sure what that song is about, but I just keep hearing with arms wide open. And I do feel like you would open your arms to this person and show them compassion. I would also tell your person that they might be able to learn something from you, because I do feel like you're very rare with the peacock card. So it talks about being confident and kind. And I would tell them not to be intimidated by your confidence, that your confidence has come from a lot of the inner work you've done on yourself, and that just because you're confident doesn't mean that this person needs to be intimidated by that or feel like they're not good enough for you. And again, I would tell them that because I do feel like your person is lacking confidence, and I would tell them that if you can see and admire the confidence within the peacock, it is an indication that that is something within you that you can embody. The peacock, the beauty of the peacock is unrivaled. It's easy to think it comes from the plumage. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. But the secret of the peacock is that the beauty resides within and extends outward indefinitely. So that's what I meant about how I would tell your person that you're not just beautiful on the outside, it's also all the work you've done on the inside. And that they are capable of that. Again, if that's something they admire within you, that's something that they're capable of. This adept creature can assimilate or digest all experiences in life, so it does not harbor resentment, conflict, or past pain within. And that's another thing I would tell your person, that even though I think it's interesting that the peacock is facing this way. So even though it feels like you're not paying attention to them, or you're not chasing them, and that you're focused on yourself and maybe even focused on other things over here, that you don't hold resentment within you, or you're not sitting over here wishing ill on this person. You're not sitting over here hating this person. And that I do feel like, because the peacock came out for you, that's what I meant earlier when I said that I don't think that you are full of resentment. And I don't think that if this person came in, you would like lash out at them or push them away. I think that you would be open to hearing them out. The peacock type is extremely rare. So I would tell them, you've got someone really rare here in this peacock, that you, if your fear and your overthinking is telling you, you know, well, I'll just find somebody else, or I'm sure somebody else will come along, I would tell them that the connection, that this soul connection that they feel with you, and the lessons that you, or the wounds that you've triggered within them, and the lessons that they can learn within this connection, it's extremely rare, this connection. And someone like you is extremely rare, that they won't just be able to hop on a dating site and find someone like you. Not many of us have reached this advanced level of acceptance of the self and others. So that's what I would tell them, that, again, I feel like you would accept this person, especially if they were open and honest with you about some of the things that they were struggling with. Maybe some of the things that they didn't know how to put into words, or maybe they didn't even understand, and they just, you know, kind of subconsciously pushed you away or ran away. I would tell them that you were in this very unconditionally loving energy where you don't judge others, you don't hold resentment against others. And even though this connection may have hurt you in the past, and even though they may be afraid of the backlash if they come back in, I would tell them, this peacock still loves you. This peacock would still accept you and all your scars and wounding. Anyway, one more deep breath. All right, so this is the card for your person. And we have the horse. So it's interesting that the horse ended up under Just Breathe. And the horse is, I would tell your person to stop running. I would tell your person, I like that the horse is facing up. So that's an indication to me, body language of the animals here, that this person doesn't need to run. I would tell them, you don't need to run from this. What you do need to do is face yourself and tap into your intuition, which is what I was saying about this Just Breathe card. The horse does talk about meditation. So it does fall in line with that Four of Swords energy in the meditation I was talking about. Again, I would tell your person to take up meditation, to process some of their overthinking. I would tell them to try breathing exercises. I would tell them with the horse to also ground themselves with physical exercise. That can really help. So I would tell them, you know, you should take up going to the gym, or you should take up walking, just something to ground yourself. I would also tell your person that if this is something that they truly want, that they can overcome these obstacles, because the horse is an energy that can achieve anything they put their mind to. Momentum, freedom, expansive energy, and force. When in balance, achieves anything and never gives up. And that's exactly what I would tell your person, that I would tell them that if they put their mind to this, their mind to their own healing journey, and they put their mind to coming back towards you, that they can achieve anything they desire here, and to not give up on themselves, to not give up on this connection, to not give up on you. like I said, the horse in reverse says runs away and feels weak. And I feel like that's what your person has been doing. I feel like your person has felt weak and they've had this fear of rejection or fear of intimacy, and they've been on the run. And I would tell them, stop running. And I would tell them that there's something in you that is triggering something they need to heal within themselves. And that's why they've been on the run, because I would tell them that they're not actually running from you, they're running from themselves. And I would tell them to face themselves. I would tell them to look at themselves in the mirror and do what this card talked about and everything else I talked about. I don't want to keep repeating myself. So, the horse provides us with momentum so reliable, so supportive that you can ride on its back towards any goal, no matter how difficult the terrain. A horse personality is fully awakened, fully alive, and cannot be defeated. So again, I would also tell your person to connect with themselves and to awaken to themselves, to awaken to this connection. I would probably even start talking to them about spirituality and the benefits of spirituality and how the benefits of spirituality can actually help free us from our shadows. The horse's freedom becomes available to us when we hone and collect our energy through daily practice. Physical stamina, exercise, and mental focus meditation are the secret weapons behind the horse's legacy. So again, I would tell them to every day, even if it just starts with 15 minutes a day, doing some kind of exercise and some kind of mental exercise like meditation to ground themselves and center themselves and to tap into that inner knowing. You know what? I'm feeling really called to look at the swan because I keep seeing the swan. So I would tell them right now, this energy that they're in, this potent and healing energy, is not to be taken for granted or taken lightly. When the swan card appears, your soul is calling for attention, for solo time, and inner voice is waiting to be heard. So I would tell them to, not take this time for granted, this time on their own. I would tell them to start spending more time alone, like especially if this is someone who likes to go out with their friends a lot or likes to always be busy, they're always on the go. I would tell them, start spending time with yourself so that you can tap into that inner voice. But I already mentioned that with Just Breathe. Which brings me to these two cards. So this is interesting to me because I did a reading the other day where I only pulled one of these cards, and this card came out, but it was in the upright, and now it's in the reverse. So I'll get to that. That's the Eight of Swords in reverse. So I would start off by telling your person that they're not actually trapped. They're not actually stuck. I would tell them, the Eight of Swords does symbolize, I think I have a better example. Just wait. Yeah. Oh, look, it's in reverse in this deck too. That's magic. So the first thing I would tell your person is that you're not actually stuck. And here's how I would explain it. The Eight of Swords, in this person's reflection, you can see they feel stuck. They feel stuck by limited beliefs. I'm hearing lack of self-esteem, trauma, wounding, overthinking. So they feel like they're stuck and they feel like they can't do anything. But I would tell them, in reality, if you just take some time to really look at the situation, you're not stuck. Like, look at this. You're not actually stuck. There's nothing stopping you, and you have the ability to free yourself. The Eight of Swords, to me, also symbolizes trauma that can be healed. So I would tell your person, the trauma that keeps you stuck and the wounding that keeps you stuck, you can heal that and free yourself. It doesn't have to keep you bound and stuck forever. Anyway, I learned on the Light Seers. It's my favorite deck, so Anyway, this did come out in reverse. But this card talks about how this crane, feminine creature, is looking towards the heavens for a solution and for answers. But if you look at this image, they have the dagger, the Ace of Swords, in their hand. Their arms are not bound. They can move their arms. Even though they feel stuck, they can move their arms and cut those wounds that keep them stuck, that trauma that keeps them stuck. I'm actually going to read this card in one moment, but it came out in the reverse. So 8 of Swords in the reverse. I'll just touch on that before, and I'll read that from that actual book in a moment. So the 8 of Swords, I would tell them to take control of this situation. I would tell them to take control of their own healing and to face themselves. I would tell them to face their fears, because fears keep us stuck. Fears keep us from going after the things we want. And I would tell them to face their fears, whatever those fears are, and empower themselves. I would tell them to surrender to the healing that they're supposed to be going through because of this connection, and that it would give them, if they were to empower themselves and heal, that it would give them a much clearer perspective of this connection and what it's actually teaching them. So the 8 of Swords in reverse: free yourself from limitations, overcome fears and worries. The pressure that has been put on you all this time will ease. You can have a clear understanding of what is around you and deal with whatever is hindering your progress. That's what I would tell them. And I would tell them, once, it says on the bottom for advice, once you have conquered your fears, you can start over. There are no more obstacles and the path is clear. Now is the time for self-affirmation. So I would even tell them to try mirror work. Like, I know that I talked to you guys about doing mirror work, but I would tell them to look at themselves in the mirror and start affirming themselves and to start doing affirmations in the mirror. And for anyone who's done that, at first it can feel quite uncomfortable, but it can empower you. So I would tell them to do some mirror work. So now is the time for self-affirmation and rejection of the restrictions that others oppose on you. There is a way out of this situation, and that's exactly what I would tell them. That there is a way out of this situation. And I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about a way out of the connection with you, but this situation that keeps them stuck and not coming back towards you. I would tell them there's a way out of it. Like, if they feel like they can never, like it's too late, you know, I'll always be this way. I'm just wounded. No one will ever love me. I would tell them it's not too late to make things right. That's basically what I've been repeating this whole reading, is it's never too late to do the right thing. It's never too late to say you're sorry. It's never too late to speak up and tell someone you love them. So the next card we have is the Sage of Leaves, which is the King of Swords. So I would tell them to look at this logically and take their fear out of it, and to look back on past memories I would tell them to look at it logically and like think about it. Like, in the past, the peacock has shown you they love you. You have good memories with this person. Look at this logically and free yourself from the fear of rejection and the fear that you can't make things right and the fear that you're not good enough for the peacock. And to be honest and to take accountability and be truthful with the peacock. It's interesting because this Sage of Leaves card talks about how this crow is symbolic, or it symbolizes your intuition. And that the crow in this image is telling this person to take action. The crow is telling this person, and you even see 3 candles here, which are very symbolic of the 3 of Wands. So I would tell your person, like, there's a reason your intuition tells you to message the peacock. There's a reason your intuition keeps guiding you back towards this peacock person, it's because something is unfinished here. And to stand in their power once they have clarity, which again, we spoke about them needing to get clarity. What else do I want to say about the King of Swords? That's another thing. The King of Swords tells us not to be too rigid or make decisions based on assumptions. So I would tell your person, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. I would tell them not to assume that you're too good for them, not to assume that you hate them, not to assume that they can't fix this, not to assume that they can never heal. Inform yourself as much as possible before jumping to any conclusions. So I would tell them not to jump to conclusions, especially not fear-based conclusions. The King of Swords is a reminder to bring objectivity and clarity of judgment to a situation in life. It may require taking time away from the challenge at hand to develop a different perspective. So I would tell them that there's a reason there's this separation or break happening, and it's so that they can get a clearer perspective, especially with the Eight of Swords in reverse. The Eight of Swords in reverse talks about a clearer perspective. And that once they have that clearer perspective, again, not to make assumptions about how you're feeling and to actually communicate with you about that clearer perspective. So that they, like, let's say you don't want this person back, at least once they are clear with you, they can have closure from this. But I feel like for a lot of you, you would open your arms to this person and you would show them compassion and understanding. Because like I said, the peacock came out. All right, I just want to read this Eight of Swords to you. I mean, to your person. So, let me just look at the keywords of the Sage, which is the King. Bring order to chaos, resolve conflict. So that's what I would tell them, that once they bring order to the chaos in their inner world, and order to the chaos in their outer world, that they can, what did I say? I've already forgotten. That they can resolve this conflict with you. Once they resolve their inner conflict with themselves, they can resolve this conflict with you through clear communication, taking accountability, being honest, showing you a different perspective. So, holding yourself back, the Eight of Swords, and this is the Eight of Swords in the upright in the book. There isn't a reversal, but it talks about holding yourself back, overthinking everything, feeling trapped, feeling powerless, waiting for rescue. I would tell them distraction. So again, I would tell them, stop distracting yourself and reflect on this and tap into that inner knowing. Stop waiting to be rescued by someone else. Stop waiting for the peacock to come rescue you and rescue yourself. Stop waiting for someone to come heal you and heal yourself. Stop waiting for the universe to make, like, maybe this person even hopes that they'll serendipitously run into you. And I would tell them, stop waiting for that rescue and rescue yourself and take control of this situation. Eight of Swords in reverse. Stop overthinking this. Our heroine has merged with the white crane, now bound together by golden rope. Standing high on a rock with nowhere to turn, she holds the one thing that can restore her freedom, a decisive dagger. She looks to the sky for answers, oblivious that the way out is in her own hands. And that's exactly what I would tell your person. The way out of this situation, you have that key within you. Captivity is the central theme of the Eight of Leaves. Many things can hold us captive, our thoughts, fears, illusions, and assumptions. What did I say about assumptions with the King of Swords? Perceived limitations are the biggest oppressor here. Overanalyzing our jailer. The mental force shortens, making it hard to cut to the chase, creating the trap of analysis paralysis. Another offender that is that of distraction. Many influences seek to interfere with our attention span and distract our concentration. I'm having a really hard time speaking. These diversions hinder our freedom in ways we may not even realize. The card of Juniper in detriment reminds us that life is constantly moving, and mental limitations are the only resistance to its current. Don't wait for a benevolent force to come to the rescue when the path of freedom lies within. Liberation comes when we utilize the power of objectivity and detach from limiting outcomes. I'm laughing at how hard it is to breathe while channeling your person. I shouldn't be laughing, but like, you know what that reminds me of? Someone has something very heavy weighing on them. That's what that reminds me of. Like, you know how the expression, I'm really bad with expressions because I'm autistic and very literal, but you know when people say like, I have something weighing really heavy on my chest, that's what this feels like. It kind of feels like the 7 of Swords to me, or the 5 of Swords, like needing to set the record straight, needing to get something off their chest. And I wouldn't be surprised if your person is having like shallow breathing right now. Anyway, so let's just get a few tarot cards to see what I would tell this person. Oh, it's not straight. Whatever. It's straight enough. All right. So first cut, the Hermit. Definitely, I would tell your person to do some self-introspection. All right. So I'm just going to do a few shuffles. And then I'm just going to ask a few questions. All right, so what would I tell your person about this connection? What would I tell your person about this connection? We have the 10 of Pentacles. You know what's funny is I was seeing the Lovers and I can see it on the top. Like I was seeing it in my mind's eye when I said, what would I tell your person about this connection? I was seeing the Lovers card. So I would definitely tell them that it is a connection that was meant to help them not only know what love is, and now I'm hearing that song, I Want to Know What Love Is, but also about, it was meant to teach them something about themselves and loving themselves as well. But 10 of Pentacles on the bottom. So I would tell your person that I do feel like there's something about their upbringing that they need to heal, wounds around dysfunctional family dynamics perhaps, but I would tell them that the potential of this connection is long-term stability and happiness. That if that's what they want, they can achieve it. And then we have the 9 of Pentacles. So I would tell them to, you know, the 9 of Pentacles is an energy of empowering yourself and stabilizing in your own energy, realizing that everything you want and need comes from within you, not outside of you. All right, so what would I tell them about this connection? We have the 2 of Wands. So I would tell them to leave their comfort zone. Again, if it's uncomfortable for them to look at themselves, I would tell them to look at themselves. If it's uncomfortable for them to spend time alone, without distraction, I would tell them to spend some time alone without distraction. If it's uncomfortable for them to think about coming towards you, I would tell them to leave that comfort zone, 2 of Wands. I would tell them to look at the patterns, just like that card said, the patterns that keep them stuck, the patterns that have prevented them from moving forward in life. I would tell them that, again, I'm hearing that thing about stability again, that it's important that they work on their own stability so that they can build a solid foundation with you. Let me just look at the Two of Wands really quick to make sure I'm not missing anything. I would tell them to, you know, start planning to these steps towards you, the things that they need to do to come towards you. And it talks about making decisions and moving forward and taking risks. You know, so I would tell them that if this is something you want to be with the peacock person, you're going to have to leave your comfort zone. And that, oh, what card is it that I'm thinking of? It's an animal card. Is it the stingray I'm seeing? I'll pause it if I need to go on. Yes, the stingray, that's exactly what I'm seeing. So I would tell your person that staying in the old, staying in the comfortable is not how you grow. Personal growth and evolution and healing is uncomfortable. It's messy. The edge of evolution is messy. And that just because something is easy and comfortable and familiar, like not healing or continuing to distract yourself with substances or outside things, external things, doesn't mean that that's the right thing. And that sometimes when we stay in the energy of easy, comfortable, and familiar, it keeps us stuck. We can't grow in that energy. I would even just tell them this. I would tell them the stingray, move through the discomfort. And this one talks about developing confidence, sense of self, or spine. The stingray card represents a pivotal point in personal growth. So I would tell them that this connection was meant to lead them to a pivotal point in personal growth. The moment has come when the stingray, this person, must decide between the old, easy, comfortable, and familiar, and the new, challenging, uncomfortable, and unfamiliar. Pressure from family and friends makes the decision even more complicated. No matter what choice is made now, it's inevitable that this dilemma will surface again and again as the force of Dharma growing within the stingray is too strong to ignore. So I would even tell them, like, if they have the mindset like, oh, maybe if I just ignore this forever, I'll meet somebody else someday. And I would tell them that even if they do meet someone else someday, it's not going to be they're not going to be like the peacock, and that they're going to hit the same wall because they haven't changed those patterns, if that makes sense. What would I tell them about you? So I would definitely tell them that you still think of them. I would tell them that you still hold them very close to your heart with the Four of Pentacles, that you haven't let them go. And I would tell them that the reason they felt like running with this Knight of Wands is because they were lacking the confidence and they had a fear of opening up and a fear of intimacy, that it was nothing to do with you. It was what they were triggering. It was what you were triggering within them, if that makes sense. And I would tell them to have, with the Knight of Wands, I would tell them to have courage. And the Knight of Wands reminds me of this horse. So I would tell them to be brave and to release this lack mindset about you, or this fear that they don't have enough to offer you. I notice on the bottom, we have the Three of Cups and the Empress. So I would tell them, you know, I would tell them that you're not just someone who could be a good friend to them, that you are irreplaceable with the Empress. And that what would I tell them about you? I would tell them that if you, the peacock, I'll just call you the peacock. I would tell them that if the peacock is holding back from you right now, and the peacock is not taking any action towards you and sitting in that Empress energy, it's because of, I'm going to talk to your person for a minute here. So when I say you, I'm talking to your person. So this peacock is sitting in Empress energy right now, is spending time with their friends, spending time with their community, spending time working on relationships that give back to them. They're sitting in this, the peacock is sitting in this Empress energy because you were being inconsistent with them. You were holding back from them. You were holding back because of fear of intimacy. You were holding back because of fear of commitment. You could have been, again, I'm talking to your person. Viewer, peacock, I'm talking to your person right now. You could have been showing up very inconsistently towards the peacock and very hot and cold. And when you show up in that inconsistent energy and that energy of like holding back, not opening up, maybe breadcrumbing a little, that it doesn't feel nice to someone like the peacock, that doesn't feel nice to anyone. And that I feel like the peacock had to focus on their own energy because of your inconsistency and your hot and cold behavior. That's what I would tell them. And I would tell your person, the horse, that in order for a connection and energy to flow, two people need to be giving to that energy. That if one person is giving and the other, the horse, is holding back and being inconsistent, the energy doesn't flow. You can even talk about it as, I'll just use this as an example. Hang on, I'm using headphones. So energetic cords. When one person, where can I stick this so that it stays? Hang on. When one person is sending energy and the other person is sending energy back, the energy flows like this, from energetic cord to energetic cord. But when one person is being inconsistent, and when one person is giving, and the other person is being inconsistent, and the energy isn't being reciprocated, the cords go like this, and they become tangled, and the energy can't flow. That's what I would tell your person. I want to tell the horse how the peacock is feeling about them. How is the viewer, the peacock, feeling about the person I'm doing a reading for, the horse? How does the peacock feel about the horse? So I would tell your person that you feel a very intuitive, that your intuition is very drawn to this person. I would tell the horse person, your person, I would tell them that even though you may look like you're in black cat energy right now, you're not saying anything, you look closed off to this connection, it's quiet, that underneath that, you still have love for this person, because the High Priestess does talk about, someone who's full of love and intimacy, but has a calm, cool exterior. I would tell them that the peacock person feels an intuitive knowing about the horse person. And that just because they're quiet doesn't mean they don't think about them. I would tell the horse person that the peacock person has acceptance for people and can kind of, they know that the horse person, has trauma and programming that make them act the way they do. Oh, that's nice. So I would tell your person for how you feel about them, the peacock. I would tell the horse person that the peacock person feels like they could have a very fulfilling connection with the horse, that the horse makes them happy with the sun card, that the peacock person feels that even the horse person has taught them to heal things about themselves with the sun. So what would I tell the horse? I would tell them, let me look at the sun card for a minute. I would tell the horse person that the peacock person does feel like they could have a very happy connection together, a happy, fulfilling connection together if the healing was done. I would tell, that's interesting. I mentioned the Seven of Swords, so I would tell the horse person that the peacock person wants you to set the record straight. The peacock person wants you to come out of the darkness and to stop running. And that, yes, maybe there is something that the horse needs to take accountability for and make amends for. The Page of Cups, the Page of Cups can be a card about, dreams. So I do feel, I would tell, and now I'm confusing myself. I'll just call you the horse and the peacock. I would tell the horse person that the peacock person does dream about them and has this dream that there can still be this happy ending and that this story can be rewritten and that they have this dream or this hope that the horse person will stop running and stop sitting in darkness and come into the light and again take accountability and make amends for this. I also feel with the Page of Cups and the High Priestess, I do feel like there's some sort of energy where because of the horse person, the peacock person awakened to spirituality or started learning about spirituality, maybe their own intuitive powers. So, what would I tell the horse person the peacock wants in the future, even though I already see it? The peacock's hopes for the future of this connection. Oh. All right. So we have the Six of Cups on the bottom. So the peacock person does hope that this situation, I'm hearing can be rectified, but the peacock person does hope for a reunion. The peacock person hopes that the horse person does the inner work they need to do so that there can be a reunion. I do feel like the peacock person hopes to hear from the horse person. Yeah, Ace of Swords underneath that. So there is something about how the peacock person hopes for communication. Oh, that's so nice. So these fell into my lap and these fell on the floor. So remember when I pointed out the 3 candles on the King of Swords card? That's really magical. So the peacock person does hope that the horse person comes towards them with truth and accountability, King of Swords, showing progress and growth. I feel like the peacock person, if you look at this person is kind of looking out onto the horizon, wondering when this is going to happen. So I do feel like the peacock person hopes for this communication from the horse person. The peacock person hopes that in time, once the horse person works on themselves and realizes that everything they need is within them, that they will come back. I even feel like the peacock person hopes that the horse person takes them off that pedestal that I was talking about. What's really interesting is we have the King of Wands and the King of Swords here. So there is this energy. You could both be the same gender. But I do feel like the peacock person hopes that not only will the horse person come in with truth and accountability, but they'll also come in more spiritually aware, like more connected to spirit, taking action, taking control of this. The peacock person hopes that the horse person will grow out of that Knight of Wands energy and embody the King of Wands, someone has staying power, who's not going to run, who will take control of the situation, take control of their love life, I'm hearing. And, maybe for some of the peacock people out there, you have this hope that, because we do have two kings here, so that maybe you have this hope that if this, I think it's interesting that we have the King of Swords here and the King of Swords here, because I do feel like for some peacock people here, not all of you, but I do feel like you have a hope that if this person can't step up and this person can't do the healing that is required, that the universe will send you someone, a soulmate, who will meet you on your level. And I'm not saying that to scare the horse person. Anyway, take those as they resonate. So what advice would I give the horse person? So, horse person, if I were to give you advice about what to do about the peacock, what action should you take towards the peacock? What action should you take towards the peacock? I have a froggy in my throat. All right, so we have the Empress. So I would tell them to come towards you with compassion and nurturing energy. I would tell them to kind of nurture and heal themselves before coming towards you. The Queen of Cups, I would tell them to follow their intuition, whatever their intuition is telling them to do. I would tell them to realize that they have someone rare here and to follow their intuition and to, heal themselves before coming towards you, or at least start the healing process before coming towards you. The Queen of Cups also talks about deepening an existing connection. So I would tell them that this connection with the peacock is worth revisiting. It's worth trying to work it out. I also might tell the horse person that because of some of the energies that I'm seeing in this reading, that they may even benefit from having a counselor to help them with their healing. And then look at this. We have the Five of Pentacles in reverse, which, remember, orphaned in reverse. So I would tell them to, when their intuition tells them it's time, when they tap into that intuition and stop overthinking, I would tell them to take that leap of faith towards the peacock person and to be more open and to not fear that rejection. I would tell them to make those positive changes that I've been talking about within this reading and then take that leap of faith, just let go. And we've got Six of Swords on the bottom. So that's about, repairing a disconnect, moving into calmer waters, releasing the pain of the past, those three crows there, and reconnecting with you. What would I tell them is the future outcome of this connection? What would I tell them is the future outcome of this connection? That's nice. We've got the Four of Swords in reverse. So the Four of Swords in reverse is about, it's about release from isolation. It's about clarity, it's about healing, and it's about reigniting passions. So I would tell them, if they do this healing, if they gain this clarity, and they do everything here, that there is a potential to reignite the passion within this connection and come out of isolation and to heal this. We've got the Knight of Pentacles on the bottom. So the Knight of Pentacles is about slow and steady towards commitment. So there is the potential to move towards commitment. Let's get one more. What is the outcome? What is the potential outcome? Oh, that's so nice. Whoa. That's nice. So the potential outcome, Tower in reverse. So the potential outcome is, you know, a foundational shift in this connection with the Tower in reverse. It's about no longer having that, what did this card talk about? Dysfunction. It's about no longer having a dysfunctional connection, but building one on a stronger foundation. For potential outcome, 10 of Pentacles, which is marriage, commitment, long-term stability. The Emperor, them stepping into their power. You know, maybe there's a potential here for you and this person to build an empire together, have a family together. Let me just look here. Stability, structure, protection. And then what else was I looking at? The Tower in reverse. Making adjustments in love. So there is the potential for both of, like, for this connection, again, for shifts to be made and adjustments to be made to have this very strong foundation. All right, so I just want to get some surrender. Actually, I just want to get some channeled messages from you for this person. So if I were to get them, channeled messages from you or from Spirit, I'm hearing. So what would I channel for the horse person from the Peacock or from Spirit? Oh, rise and rise again. Didn't I mention Phoenix energy? And I support your decision no matter what, which is very Peacock energy. It's very Peacock energy. We have, why am I crying? So I would tell the horse person that, you know, the peacock misses you, has shed tears over you. Be patient. So I would tell them that you would tell them to be patient with themselves and not beat themselves up too much about how long they're taking. I want to believe that reminds me of the Page of Cups. So I would tell the horse person that the peacock person wants to believe that you can do this. They want to believe that there can be a future here. Look at this. I'm so excited for our future. So I would tell them that you still see a future with them. It still hurts. But remember, the peacock isn't holding on. Like, yes, for what you want in the future, we did have that Seven of Swords in reverse. So there is something here that you want this person to take accountability for. And yes, there's things that still hurt here. But I don't think that you are holding it against them. And we have, sometimes it's about letting go. So, you know, that could be the peacock's way of saying, like, I didn't want to let this go. But sometimes when something isn't working, you have to let go. And we have take the road less trodden. Oh, I like that one. It kind of falls in line with that stingray energy I was getting. Like, anyway, I like it. So I'm just going to get a few surrender cards for your person. And on the bottom, surrender to rest and sleep. That's exactly what I would tell them. To prevent burnout, slow down, honor your need for quiet time and peaceful sleep to rejuvenate your mind, body, and spirit. What would I tell your person that they need to surrender? Surrender your desire to control people. Being over-controlling can sabotage relationships. To more effectively achieve your goals, back off, regroup, and give the situation some breathing time. Surrender to silence. Do you see a theme here? I'm seeing a theme. In quiet meditation or contemplation, let go and surrender the stillness within. Silence can heal and replenish you. And we have surrender obsessive thinking, which I definitely think your person needs to surrender. If you're obsessing about a person or situation, turn the dilemma over to spirit. Doing so will help you bring clarity or even solve the problem. Definite theme there. So, my friends, I'm going to leave it here. Hopefully that all made sense. I'm sending you lots of love and light, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.